How are you going to use AI as your agency to accelerate growth of our products and market? That's the right question, not how are you being more efficient using AI so that we can cut the cost out? That's the wrong question.
The people on that spreadsheet, they don't know you at all when they're coming in and they're doing that math. It's not personal necessarily. They see your salary and they're like, we can get 3 for 1. And they don't recognize the wisdom of experience.
Meet a 50-year-old art director, writer, and get them to take you under their wing because they have something to teach you and you have something to teach them.
Welcome to It Gets Late Early. Today, I'm joined by Brent Rivard, and he is the founder and CEO of an agency called Geezer Creative. And as you can probably imagine, I'm really intrigued by even just the name of this agency.
Thanks so much for having me.
Why? I mean, the advertising agency is probably up there with one of the most ageist industries, right? I mean, I think tech, I think Hollywood, I think, fashion, and advertising is right there. So tell me about the deliberate move to be like, we are owning this. It's Geezer Creative.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long process, right? I mean, the ageism problem in advertising is not new. Less than 5% of agency employees are over 50. In America, it's actually even worse in the UK. It's less than 4. So that's a pretty horrific number. So, you have that issue. And what's happened, not to go down the rabbit hole of getting into the business model of traditional agencies and how they've kind of failed themselves. But what it's led to is a race to the bottom. The only way that these traditional agencies are able to make their numbers work is to hire more junior people and get rid of the ones that are making their top dollars, right? Which are the most experienced people. And this has been going on for years, and it's turned into a monumental problem, and one that we're happy to take advantage of, that the most experienced people are on the street freelancing. And these are some prolific creatives that have, won every award and taken a walk up to the podium at Cannes many times, produced great, successful work. And so, there was that angle of starting Geezer. And then there was this other notion. It's a double-edged sword, that the largest demo on the planet when it comes to spending power is Gen X, and then next in line are the boomers. And this this obsession with youth from clients has led them to continue to chase the exact same cohort that they always have been, which is Gen Z. I don't really get it. So we kind of went at it from the double-edged sword and saying, I've said many times, the last thing the world needed was another ad agency. So we opened one. But we didn't just open another agency. We opened one that has a point of view that you need to grow your businesses. The stresses that are on public companies nowadays, or private equity owned companies, to grow is monumental. And you have this $8.3 trillion elephant hiding in plain sight. So we think that people need to start shifting and lift that other rock and go, oh my God, here's all the growth, because they control 70% of disposable income. And we built an agency that is the best equipped to get after solving their business problems, because not only do we know this audience, we are the audience.
That is always the thing that has bothered me so much about this. It's like the hubris that's involved with pretending that you can know what someone who's completely different from you would want and need, right? Like, why do we do this? It's crazy to me. So I'm glad that you're out there solving this problem. My curiosity is around how many clients out there really understand that this is a problem. Are they connecting the dots on the value of having experienced people and people who match the target demographic? Or are they just continually chasing after that, 19 to 25 spot, even though they don't have as much money?
Yeah, I think you have the early adopters, and then you have the last of the game. But I mean, it's unfortunate that marketers are often, you'd think that they'd be known as being at the forefront of everything, when in fact they aren't. Not all of them. I mean, some of them are early adopters, and some of them are starting to change right now. You see companies like Caddis Eyewear, right? If you go to caddislife.com and look at their photography, I mean, we had a good meeting with Tim Parr, the founder, and went, thank you. Fashionable men and women in their 50s and 60s, your photography is phenomenal. Your product is bullseye to have fashionable readers, as opposed to the ones that you pick up at the drugstore.
Right, exactly.
And so there are people like Tim that get it. So, we're grateful for people like that out there. But then there's there's the, then there's the marketers that are like, nah, it's just like, I've been doing things the same way and I'm still getting paid, and,
I'll
don't
just
make
keep
work
going.
for me. I don't want
Yeah.
to change. But we're seeing it start to change. I think I'm optimistic that our timing is really bang on, that marketers are going to have to figure it out, because this revolving door of the CMO seat is just going to continue. If you can't grow your business in 16 months, you're fired, right? And everybody knows you take that seat and the stopwatch starts, right? So, and I think it's going to take like a brave client. It's not even a brave client. I mean, it's right in front of you. Like alcohol brands. Gen X outspends Gen Z 8-1.
Yeah.
Add boomers, it's 20-1.
Damn.
So why does your creative brief on an alcohol brand still say 25?
Oh my gosh.
It's insanity. Like,
yeah, like look at the
right?
trends. This is what they're supposed to be up on. That's why it's so stunning
Right.
to me, right?
Yeah.
Like
Beauty
wow.
companies. So Sephora, Ulta, Walmart, that little company called Amazon. Are you all going to continue to chase 17-year-old women? Right?
Sadly,
like, you
probably.
can sell my wife a lot of stuff.
I know.
But,
oh
but
gosh.
it's just it's starting to change. Even the beauty companies, you're starting to see it. You got a lot of celebrities. You have the Cindy Crawfords of the world and her group that is the 50 over 50. You got Pam Anderson walking around without makeup on. It's incredible. I love it. Right. And here was the quintessential, bathing suit beauty that has, kicked back and pushed back and said, no, like, I'm proudly 50, right? Like,
giving fewer fucks every day.
Yeah,
it's great.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm here for it. I think that it's shifting as well. I'm super, super bullish on things changing for the better for all of us. Because guess what? We're all the oldest we've ever been right now. And it's going to continue if we're lucky, right? And so we need to embrace this concept. And it doesn't look the same that it used to. That's the other thing. I mean, and I think that brands are starting to understand this, and you're starting to see it reflected on the silver screen and within television and sitcoms and whatnot. You see the way the Golden Girls were portrayed like a generation ago versus like the Sex and the City reboot, which by the way is terrible. But you see that, and it's like, okay, good. There is a shift in the narrative, and people are really embracing and getting after it when they're getting older, and I love that. So I think you're spot on with all of that. I mean,
yeah, no, I appreciate it.
Yeah, and it's so necessary. And I want to talk a little bit about your brand, because I can't begin to tell you how much I fell in love with it, like immediately. It is so spot on. So tell me how you came to creating the brand and the story and the narrative behind what you do.
Well, I think it was just a reflection of what we set out to do. Like, what was our objective, and what were we frustrated with in the industry, or what were we excited about in the industry? And then our brand started to form itself, and it continues to evolve. I mean, it's an ambitious brand. It's a community brand. It's got a little rebellious edge to it, but
I love it.
We
so
don't take
Gen X.
we don't take ourselves. It is, it's a reflection of Gen X. We don't take ourselves that seriously.
Yeah.
We want to have fun. I mean, it's innate in this logo. I mean,
so good.
It's a rebellious, approachable, community, and we've like we said on our website, this is gonna take more than us if we're gonna really try to redefine. And not all of advertising, even if 1/20th of agencies ended up competing with us, we'd be thrilled. Like, let's do this. Let's get the experience. And we're not against youth at all. In fact, quite indifferent. Like, we grew up when you were a young creative, you had like 5 veteran, experienced people to learn your craft from. Like, I feel bad for them right now. Right? Like, I had a couple of young creatives reach out to me and say, what's your best advice for a young creative right now? And I said, find a mentor, and they're not going to be in your building. That's unfortunate, but get out there and meet a 58-year-old director, meet a 50-year-old art director, writer, and get them to take you under their wing, because they have something to teach you and you have something to teach them.
100%. It does go both ways. And I think it can't be underscored enough. Exactly. Like, this situation, this job market, this white collar recession, and what's happening and changing in the creative space means that people aren't going to be focused on necessarily mentoring others, like you said, within their own buildings, because they're holding on to their jobs for their damn lives right now. I mean, it is rough out there. You recently were in a New York Times article called "The Gen X Career Meltdown," and your co-founder Karen McKinley was quoted as talking about what people in Gen X and beyond are going through right now in the creative space. I'd love for you to share a little bit more about what it's like day to day for people in their 50s and beyond in this, and maybe even earlier. Gosh, it gets later, maybe in your 40s, you're worrying about this stuff. But share with us like what you've seen, what people in your space are feeling, and kind of your outlook.
It's tragic. I mean, it really is. Like, how do I quantify it? Like, we're up to I think 7,600 followers on LinkedIn, which is something that we're really proud of.
Should be.
But I won't lie, 7,400 of them are veteran, unemployed creatives. So I knew this was a problem, and Karen and John knew this was a problem, but we didn't know it was this. I didn't know it was this big. I won't speak for them, but I was like, wow, this is monumental. And the outpouring of support for what we're doing and what we're trying to accelerate to doing more of has been unbelievable. And that's why I say that part of our brand evolution was we're a community. Right? This is bigger than an ad agency. We're becoming a support system. I mean, John Kieselhorst, my partner, with a colleague of his, has just outreach to our community to say, hey, we have a colleague and we're doing these like mentoring sessions for people that are at a precipice and changing and trying to redirect your energy and to get excited about what's next. And maybe it's not going to be, if you've been through 12 agency interviews and you're not getting hired, you probably aged out. And that's depressing, but we have to support each other and help each other to get through it. So we take our community very seriously.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not nice out there. The forecast is not getting any better. We've watched for 2 to 5 years these massive holdcos having to consolidate in order to compete, right? Monster agencies coming together and laying off 7,000 people because what they're finding a way to do is they're trying to drive efficiencies. And then an exciting yet horrifying part is that private equity has now come into play.
Oh,
so
boy. What don't they do?
Private equity always ignored the ad agency world because the ad agency world is famous for being less than sophisticated. I'll say, like, you don't have long-term contracts. You can be your multi-million, $100 million client can resign you with 90 days notice. And you're only as good as your top dog people, and they can move, they can leave. And this is an industry famous for people moving and moving and moving. So what a crazy thing to consider investing in until they watch the holdcos do it. And they're like, wait a second, you can collapse 4 agencies into one, get rid of 3 CEOs, 3 heads of planning, 3 executive creative directors, and probably a whole bunch of senior talent, and then make them just all work harder in group settings. And we can streamline our expenses and still have the same amount of revenue. And then I can, in 18 to 23 months, exit with a 3x value. Yeah, I'm in. And now we're seeing it happen. And it's going to be, I don't know what's going to, it's going to be interesting to watch.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That's going to put more of the same. Now you got the holdcos doing it. Now you're going to have private equity companies buying 4 mid-sized agencies and turning it into one and getting rid of 20% of its staff and making everybody work hard.
Yep.
Right?
And plenty of those people will be the experienced talent, as you point out. It's like they are the people on that spreadsheet. They don't know you at all when they're coming in and they're doing that math. It's not personal necessarily. They see your salary and they're like, we can get 3 for 1. And they don't recognize the wisdom of experience. It's totally an own goal. But as you also point out, it creates all these other issues within the organization because the young talent that they have hired to exploit, of course, will not have the sort of the tutelage. That's a word I haven't used in a while, but they won't have like that mentorship getting them through and getting them to that degree of excellence. So I feel like with the advent of AI and generative AI being the go forward plan, despite the fact that no one knows what the F they're doing on it yet, without a semblance of guidance or training for new employees, it's like, it's a race to mediocrity. It's like a race to the bottom. And
it's already there.
Right?
I mean, like if you look back to, I think like, that's a whole other topic unto itself. And I'm sure we'll get into that. But like, this is another thing that I've said, that the evidence, it's not my opinion. The evidence is out there. The work is terrible. The Monday morning after Super Bowl used to be an all staff meeting with your executive creative director, your head of planning, and a bunch of your talented people commenting and dissecting the brilliance of the Super Bowl ads that appeared this year. And it used to be, and ad people are the worst critical people of their own industry, but I'll even say that let's hypothesize that it used to be 50% of the commercials were amazing. Now it's a display of the worst wastes of money on the planet, right? The work is terrible. And it's just like, it's not my opinion. I mean, there's not many great, there are some great campaigns out there still, don't get me wrong, but we're talking 5%, not 50. Like what we're seeing is decent work out there wouldn't even have made the client presentation 10 years ago.
And I think it just doesn't matter to these companies because they're making money hand over fist. And it's like they have a captive audience in a Super Bowl audience. And I don't think they care if we like the ad. They care if we see it. Do you think that's fair? Or am I wrong on that?
God, it's hard. I think that it's twofold. One, they just want to be on the world's big stage and get the accolade for it and put it on their resume and go to the Super Bowl. But marketers the marketers that aren't going to understand how to grow a company are going to be gone in a hurry. Like that's the next thing. I don't think, if I'm to hypothesize anything, and again, I'll be overly optimistic for ourselves, it's not going to be okay to be mediocre moving forward. There's too many eyeballs on the money, right? And you've already got how many articles being written about the disconnect between CEOs and CMOs, and that's juvenile at best. But, I'm hoping that these things start to change, that marketers start to get hired that understand where the growth is and just stare at the obvious things in front of you, and then uncomplicate this. It doesn't need to be complicated, right? You need to grow your business. Well, you have an $8.3 trillion market that you could be advertising to right now, assuming your product aligns, right? It's the same thing that, like I've said, like if Skittles is launching a new candy for 14-year-olds, okay, I get it. I get it. You're not right. Maybe candy snacking and the mature market don't go hand in hand. But for those out there that, are in the obvious categories, travel, banking, alcohol, tourism, wellness, travel en masse, cruises.
Cruises.
Yeah, I'm Canadian, like Gretzky skate to where the puck's going to be, right? Like, just get after it. Like, it's not that complicated. And then, something we haven't talked about is representation. If you are going to get after it and you're going after a post-menopausal 53-year-old woman, don't throw a short white-haired woman in a garden for your ad.
No,
she's 80. Right?
Exactly. That's the thing. If you don't have intergenerational teams in the mix, actually creating these advertisements or going through the meetings, you will get some huge misses that will hurt your brand immeasurably. Like I think about Indeed came out with a career guide sometime a couple years ago. And just last summer, it was resurfaced on the internet. And it was talking about how your mid-career and late career are defined as like the decline era. And they started them at age like 45. Like it was crazy. I was like, so clearly no one in this editorial process was anywhere near 40 because this is like patently absurd and completely offensive. Like you're going to see more people make these huge misses if you don't incorporate various viewpoints and age ranges into the mix. And so I think we'll see a lot of people just like totally step in it. And, like Blue Sky did another ad that was like super ageist. And it's like, dude, if you had anyone over the age of 40, 50 of there, they'd be like, ooh, maybe don't put the joke about a grandma on like your social media. It's like, it's just, come on. And by the way, grandma has more money than you. So like, what are you doing? So it's like, it's just,
and it's like
ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, we've said it 100 times. 50 is not the new 30. 50 is the new 50.
Yep.
Right. I don't want to be 30 again. It sucked.
No, you couldn't pay me.
Right. I couldn't afford to open this company when I was 30. I'm ecstatic at the fact that I've been successful enough to be able to, in my 50s, open a company that has purpose and that we're also trying to give back and create a movement, and that hopefully one day we can look back at this when I'm 60 and go, wow, how'd that happen? Right? Look at this. It's in, like, I can't remember what the number was. Karen's going to kill me for not knowing, but I think our website's been visited by 88 countries the last time we checked.
So awesome.
Like
There's a
it's
need
just
for this.
What?
Yeah.
Like
this
we just
was
need
a gap.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. I want to talk a little bit about how you're going to, well, actually, I want to back up and ask you about your agency and how you work with brands. So do you place specific types of consultants who are over 50 into organizations to work on specific campaigns? Like how do you guys set up your client engagements?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that we did as well is we tried to build this company to alleviate client pain points, right? And, I spent 4 years as a chief marketing officer, and having been a veteran ad guy, I didn't expect to see as many pain points as I did, but they all come from transparency, right? There's a lot of smoke and mirrors in the business of, and you'll read client RFPs that are like, you have to bring the people into the room in the pitch that are going to be working on the business. Because for too many years, it was like your A-listers came and pitched and won the business, and then you never saw those people again.
Oh, yeah. Totally tracks.
So we've done it from a transparency standpoint and from a specialization standpoint. Like we talk a lot about specialists versus generalists, and marketers' problems are becoming very finite. So you need a specialist to attack that problem. So what we do transparently is we build teams with our clients. So, if you have let's say it's a tourism board that wants to get after a problem. Great. Let's talk about your budget and let's be realistic with it. And let's be transparent in us telling you, okay, your budget can afford 2 creative teams over 3 weeks to come and deliver X. Great. Let's agree to it. But then let's build the teams together. So we'll go away to our monster roster of talent, but we'll ask the clients, like, do you want them to come from the travel business? You might not. You might say, no, I purposely want people that have a fresh look at this. Okay, great, because we might have made the mistake of putting, 2 people from the travel. So it's about building that together and saying, okay, we have 2 exceptional teams. Here's what they cost. Here's our proposal. And here's how we're going to get after it. So you transparently just get in at the beginning. Don't wait for a creative brief either. I mean, talk about their business problem with them. It used to be that like clients used to show up with this wondrous creative brief for the agency. It's like, well, why don't we just do that together? Because we're going to ask 2,700 questions during this process.
Right. Yeah.
It's only going to help make us smarter and make us better partners. And I think that that's where, it's kind of consultancy, and we didn't come up with this. It's been around for as long as, past decade was, are we launching an agency or is it a consultancy? And then it was, consultancies merging with agencies, and but it's just a consultancy mindset, right? You go in as a consultant and let's only talk about one thing. What can we do for you? What can we it's one of 2 things. You're either asking us to fix something or you're asking us to get after an opportunity and take advantage of it. Which is it and what is it? And then we'll fix it.
Well, and I think that perspective of coming in and learning and sharing with their team and whatnot is actually something that can really up level those clients, right? Because like you said, a lot of them are not going to have the talent along the room or within the room that's experienced. And so you bring that perspective. You might even be able to, like, almost by osmosis, create some moments of mentorship, which will be lovely for them too. But in this world that seems to be moving towards more or less a gig economy, like a white collar gig economy, an Uberification of everything. Like, I see that as being something that's going to help people who have, quote, aged out, who are facing these challenges. They can go in and be, the specialized expert, pinch hit, and share their knowledge and really deliver something valuable. And I think that companies are going to be amenable to that.
I sure hope so. I mean, I just hope that I hate to say that I want it to become a trend, but I do for the right reasons, not the wrong reasons, right? I don't want it to become a trend because, well, then everybody's going to chase the shiny object and we're going to be so busy and making more money than we need to know what to do it. That's not what I mean. I hope it becomes a trend because there are too many people in that situation that deserve to still have a seat at that boardroom table.
Yeah. Absolutely. But I think it's important also to talk about what is lost and what has shifted over the course of the last few decades when it comes to work. And the reality is there's no such thing as job security anymore. And it is a gutting thing to contend with. And I mean, that article in the New York Times, the Gen X Career Meltdown, really spoke to that. And people are having to shapeshift, and they're having to switch and pivot into new industries. They're having to create completely different revenue streams for themselves in order to feed their families and move to, places that they were not expecting to move for caregiving reasons or for cost of living reasons. And I think it's one of those things where gosh, I wish it weren't this way. It's shifting clearly so much in this direction. It's like we have to look at the situation for what it is and start making plans. And so I think as much as I hope that this starts to get solved and people start to recognize the value of experience and they want to bring people experienced on the team, as a full-time employee rather than just an external consultant, like I'm not sure that that's going to happen because companies just want shareholder value. And like you said, they see older, experienced talent as quote, too costly, right? And so I think we have to just prepare ourselves for this new future.
I don't think the problem's ever going to fix itself. So I don't have visions of that grandeur. But I hope that it resolves itself. Let's say 25 to 50% of the problem resolves itself. But to answer your question, now that project work has become more popular, I think that there's a chance of this reversing. And because clients no longer have to sign up for the $4 million retainer for a year with the company and hope that things work out. So what I hope that starts happening is that a couple clients take a chance on an agency like ours or of the like, and that agency is able to show them the value and the results that come from that experienced person being on their business, or the efficiency of a person that I said earlier doesn't just know the demo, they are the demo. So getting to the insights will be quick. Getting to the work should be quicker. Getting to the writing is good. You're not going to mess up any words because you know how they speak. It's kind of like I said, I gave the Skittles example earlier. If Skittles calls us and says, hey, we have a brief for a 14-year-old kids for a new candy, we'd really love your experience on the job. I would have to say we're not the best equipped agency for you because I don't know the insights into them. I don't know what they're surfing on their phone. I don't know if they're even on TikTok anymore. And I don't know what their acronyms are. So you know what? It's going to take me 5 rounds of work to get to even being knowledgeable. So clients used to ask me, why does it take so many rounds of work? Well, because it took them 5 rounds of work to understand the business of your business. Now they're going to get to, right? So why don't we skip all that? So I'm hopeful that enough clients will say, hey, you know what? It's not a big commitment to give this a shot, to get a project campaign out there, and then to allow those people to drive their value. If those client pain points are alleviated, it's not only a pleasurable experience, but the ROI is on the other end, right? And it's not just KPIs and metrics, it's real business growth. Then they're going to give you a bigger project. They're then going to put you on a retainer, and hopefully that trend starts to happen. But the only way it's going to happen is if a client all of a sudden decides that they value experience, which isn't going to happen, right? So they're going to have to take a shot, and the agency's going to have to prove their worth. But now more than ever, the door's open to do that. There's independents popping up it's seemingly every second week right now. And that's because there's a lot of talent that's out of the holdcos and out of the big agencies, and they're starting their own, or they're pivoting and doing something else.
Yeah, lots is shifting, that's for sure. And I want to go and dive into AI because obviously you can't have any sort of conversation on this planet without talking about freaking AI. But I want to hear from you, like, what are some of the opportunities and some of the challenges for older professionals when it comes to AI in this space?
See, it's funny. I think the exact opposite. I think the older generation is so far at least equivalent, if not better equipped or differently equipped to deal with AI.
100% agree.
We didn't grow up with devices. We grew up in a boardroom prompting. So
I like that.
When somebody said something, I'd be like, that's interesting, but I didn't mean that as the input. What I meant to say was this. Oh, that's interesting, Brent. And then the strategic planner chimes in and says, what about this? And I'm like, interesting. Can you keep pushing that? Because I'm not sure where that's going. They get up on a whiteboard. They start writing things down. The group starts engaging. We were the original prompters. We know how to tell ChatGPT what to do before getting trained on it. We knew to say, you're an expert in the travel business and you run a cruise line. Like, we knew to say that up front. That's innate in us. So I don't think for a second, and there's enough, this isn't my opinion either. You can, Google it, ChatGPT it, right? We are early adopters of technology. We had
created it.
like my nephew doesn't know half of what I know about tech when it comes to like in
Mm-hmm.
homes and stuff, and that's because they don't own homes.
Oh
That's another
God,
story
yeah,
though.
that sure
But
is.
but yeah, I don't think that anybody has an advantage over one another. I won't say that
Right.
we have an advantage over them. I'll say that our advantages is we knew how to prompt. And then a
Mm,
young person might say to me, yeah, but we can work these 6 apps in 14. Okay, that's fair. I'm sure there are advantages to being young, but I don't think and honestly, the AI is going to have great implications and opportunities, and it's going to have devastating implications. And I think we're all kind of trying to figure it out. And it's a great insight partner to us. It's a great efficiency partner to us. It's a great, I want to bounce this off of you, buddy, when it's 1 a.m. and I can't call Karen or John. It's helpful in a lot of ways. And then, but I think that what's happening as well is this is where I said I hope the experience becomes a trend. Like right now, it's just every holdco is chasing the shiny object, right? And I get why, because your clients, when you're huge clients, in every RFP, I'm sure there's a fill out 7 pages of your AI policy. But at the end of the day, and the horror story side of it is that clients are just using it via procurement to try to drive more cost out. They shouldn't be. They should be trying to drive more creativity. They should be using it to drive. How are you going to use AI as your agency to accelerate growth of our products and market? Right? That's the right question, not how are you being more efficient using AI so that we can cut the cost out? That's the wrong
right.
question. Right.
Totally agree.
Right.
Yeah, the way you speak of AI, I mean, to me, I think of it as open season for people of all ages to get in there and start learning this, right? Like it's a pretty, I mean, it's been in development for a long time, like you said, like older people were the ones developing it, but it's widespread, ubiquitous use is new. And so everybody has the opportunity to get out there and start leveraging it to their advantage and creating hopefully better quality stuff because they're using it, right? And I just hope that the race to the AI arms race that we're watching right now, like it just, the thing that's scaring me about it is I just don't want the humanity to be lost. And when you think of all the incredible creatives that are older and younger, of course, but I'm worried that this emphasis on creating the most shareholder value is going to continually degenerate the quality of art and creativity, and that's my big fear in all of this. And so I hope that there's a way to view it as a thought partner and an organizer and all of that, but not offset and outsource the actual creative act, because humans, I think, are the only ones who can do that so well, right? And it
It's
concerns me.
like I said, it's going to figure itself out. I mean, the other thing with Gen X is that, like, remember, we saw the internet show up.
Yep.
We saw
Yep.
email show up. We saw BlackBerry show up and email on your phone show up. Like, that's the other vote for like what we've been through. It's like like people ask about young people or Gen X being able to deal with AI. It's like, we've already done this multiple times, right? Like, I remember a Facebook, social media. Like, we were at the beginning of everything. You've been in it. You don't know any different, right? We had to learn that world, and we had to learn it in a hurry. Like, I remember having arguments with clients, and this wasn't like 20 years ago. This was like maybe 10, 12 years ago, saying, but I don't want to build a Facebook group because I want to own our own data, and I don't know what Zuckerberg's going to do with our data. So I think we should just drive to our website to sign up, because that Facebook thing might be going away. And I'm like, wow, like, we went through that, and it's just so we had to help our clients along to understand the advantages of the web and the opportunities. And then remember writing decks about Web 2.0 and having like an all-day conference at the agency with 5 different rooms. Like, we've been through this, and they're all doing it again. It's just they're taking them on an AI journey, and it's a dog and pony show. And it just is what it is. But you know what? It's here to stay. It's not going anywhere.
It's not.
Right. So figure out how to use it to your advantage, and figure out how to, I've had some great leaders that I've worked with, but I won't take credit. Carl Johnson and Anomaly used to always say, ask better questions.
Yep.
It's a good one, but you need to be able to push back and to help your clients understand that this is not going to be a tool at our agency to drive your costs out. And if you think it is, you should probably choose another agency. Right. But this is an incredible tool that is going to like supercharge our ability to grow your business at a pace that we've never imagined before. It's not going to drive your cost out.
Mm-mm.
Right.
Mm-mm.
That's not what it's for. Like, oh, you can replace 4 people with AI because now it's listening to your meeting and it's writing the contact report. So we should be able to get rid of an account coordinator, right? It's not the right question to be asking. I mean, it's funny. I was the only time that I realized the ageism thing is when I started looking at coming back. Like, I've been blessed. I worked at Young at Heart agencies, Anomaly, and, for like 6 years. And I never realized an ageism issue in the business until I tried to come back to it. So I was blessed that way. Whereas a lot of people that I've spoken with are like, oh, I felt ageism at 40 years old. And, I've spoken with a lot of women that are like, yeah, speak for yourself. You're a man. I started getting treated ageist when I was 35. And I'm like, wow, Jesus. I was lucky that way that I didn't. But then when I went client side and I was coming back into the industry and saying, hey, what's out there? It wasn't immediately that I was wanting to partner up with John and Karen and start Geezer. It was like, oh, let me investigate getting back in the business. And then it became really apparent to me that, oh, they think I'm old. And it's interesting because you just get this strange vibe that you're speaking to me a little bit different. So
right. Yeah.
that was my only experience. Yeah. And it happened enough that when, I saw, Karen and John, and then when we met up and talked about this whole thing that they'd spurred up called Geezer, this brand, that I wanted to jump on board and say, hey,
like, oh shit, that's
me.
Me.
That sounds really hard, but like a lot of fun. And and it is both. It's really hard. It's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun. But I love that you're owning it. It's kind of similar to the way I look at Caddis and their branding. And it's all about like, this is who we are. We're not ashamed to say that we're over 50. Like, this is it. This is, and we're proud, frankly. And I love that attitude. I love that energy. I feel like it's what we all need more of, because getting older is the whole damn point, right? That's what we're here to do. Hopefully we're lucky if we can, right?
And you're seeing a lot of, a lot of anti-aging people saying like, why don't you take the word anti out of your product description?
Pro-living is
an anti-aging credit. Why not just an aging product?
Yeah,
my skin's changing. It's not like it was when I was 35.
Right. Or how about like, just be the best you can be at any age, whatever. Just do you.
Get after
how you
it.
want. Yeah, get after it. So I think that energy is something that we're seeing more and more in society. So I'm stoked about it. And I think your brand is going to really capitalize on that sort of wave that is shifting. I love it. Absolutely love it.
I sure hope so.
It's a movement. It's coming. So what I love about your agency is you guys identified a gap in the market, and you also identified a huge pain point for people in this age demographic, people who are struggling to find and keep jobs in the creative industry. And you created this opportunity for them to access paid work through freelance gigs that you organize with your clients. And then that in turn kind of sets up the possibility that the client will actually understand the value of having an experienced person on the team and maybe, I don't know, hire them internally, or at least have that influence the way they approach other older people within their own organizations, right? So I think it has a cascading beneficial effect for all, which I so love. So kudos to you. This is amazing.
So one thing with us is you're guaranteed that you're going to have very senior representation, which is the 3 partners chewing on the business. But then we use just our massive connections to a freelance market that we've been meeting with people every single week that are out there that we get to hand select to tackle complex business problems. And then what we hope to move to is, let's use my earlier example as project-based. Client gives us a project, we tackle it, we do an incredible job for them. We do another one and you do an incredible job. And they go, okay, we need to lock these people in because we're loving working with these 2 or 3 teams. Good. Then you put us on a retainer and we hire them as full-time employees.
That's fantastic.
Right? So that's the evolving vision. And you know what? 2 weeks from now, that might change too. Right. But I'm just,
that's the deal.
If there's one thing I've learned, I've as being an entrepreneur, is you better be ready to expect the unexpected and pivot in a hurry. And I hate the word pivot, but I've learned to love it because you have no choice.
You
right?
don't have a choice.
This
is reality. You got to get on board. I love that. It's I feel like there's a lot of glorification of that like founder and entrepreneur lifestyle, and it's like, dude, try it first before you. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, this is really hard. Like, choose your hard. You can try
Yeah.
to remain in corporate America that's ageist as hell, or you can try and carve your own path. Either way, it's going to be really, really hard. So doing what I do with a podcast about ageism in the workplace, as you can imagine, I get a lot of outreach from people who are struggling to find and keep jobs over the age of 40 in all industries, especially corporate. And, I'm wondering, it sounds like this is very much the case for the community you're building, as well as like the freelance operation that you're building internally at Geezer. But what advice do you have for people who are enduring this right now, who are going through it, really in it?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, there's a couple different phases that you go through, and one, you're just in it, right? So you've been part of a mass layoff, and you're in interview number 3 with company number 3, and you're not getting to interview number 2 with any of them, and you're starting to get a little dark. And then there's the worst part, which is, people that are 2-3 years and trying to freelance, but the freelance market's drying up, and the interviews have stopped. The recruiters aren't answering your emails anymore. They're not returning your phone calls. And that's like when you get to panic mode. And the best advice I can give people is prepare yourself and open your mind, your creative talent. You can open your mind better than anyone out there, but start to think about different career paths. Start to think about, what would I offer as a consultant that would be valuable? Do I have a roster of client contacts, and did I keep those things? If you're employed and worried about being laid off, start to collect those things, right? Because the outreach is going to be so important. But look at your 401ks. Talk to a financial professional. What are my options, right? Somebody might want to buy a franchise and just not think of it. And a financial professional might say, why don't you look at buying an agency, right? Maybe there's a way to get a set of investors together, and you only have to put X number of dollars in, and you can buy that small agency that's already cash flow positive. Or maybe it's like we're inundated on Instagram, but it's not for no reason. Maybe you want to buy 2 laundromats and live happily ever after, right? Like you mentioned, maybe I need to start thinking about when my rent comes due in 10 months in Manhattan, which I won't tell you what rents are here, but most of you would know. Like maybe I don't need to live in Manhattan. I think what I'm trying to say is don't marry yourself to the only thing I can do is get another job at an agency as an art director or a writer or a creative director, and work linked it, work your network. I mean, there's no more value than working your network. Like talk to some like Frankie Rodriguez and Mike Byrne at the CEO and global ECD at Anomaly. I'm still dear friends with. They give me a pulse. They mentor me, right? I try to give back. Like, how can I help? And working that network is going to be very helpful. And then I think there's a realization as well that if the fallacy is that you are making X number of dollars one day, and if you're of the mind of saying, hey, I'm fine to be less expensive. I'm in my 50s and I've got a really strong 401k and my house is paid off, and make that clear. Right. Don't play the game.
Out of the gates, 100%.
I've heard that from a lot of people being like, hey, I'm willing to work for X number of dollars, half of what I used to work for. But does everybody know that, or were you hoping that you were going to get your old salary?
That you'd nail it? Well, and I think we have
because you hate to lose an opportunity to a perception, right?
Of course, absolutely. And if people have that in the back of their minds, it's going to be working against you. And the reality is, as we get older, things change, things shift. Maybe we don't need money as much. Maybe we want more purpose. Like, maybe we do really need money. It just depends on your personal circumstance. And leading with that transparently can help you. Totally agree with you. It's definitely a fallacy that people won't work for less. And sadly, the way the market is shifting, I mean, I've talked to many people who said like, hey, I'm trying to get jobs now. It's harder. Obviously, I'm getting through to fewer interviews. And then when I do find out the pay range, it's like less than what I made in 2021, 2022. And it's like the market has shifted and corporate salaries aren't keeping up with the Joneses, right? So we have to.
And I've said that has to give too. Yeah. Like at some point, I hope that companies realize that just squeezing out every last micro organism of profit might not be the right answer in favor of a longer term, right? Like every single quarterly, every time that you report earnings, Jesus, calm down, people.
Exactly. We aren't
Like,
freaking robots.
we can have a
here.
bad quarter and our stock doesn't have to drop by 12%, right?
Exactly. Like we can
But
have.
that's the way the world is right now. It's hyper profit oriented. And unfortunately, 99% of CEOs, where do they come from? They have a finance background,
Yep.
right? They don't have an invest in a brand background, right?
No. Damn it.
Right?
I wish we lived in that world, but we don't. And I think a lot of this is just kind of like tough love. This is where we are. It sucks in a lot of ways, but there are also opportunities, and we got to hold on to those glimmers of hope and set ourselves up for the best possible future that we can. And, one thing you mentioned in your answer about what people can do is really lean into your network. And I'd like to always continually remind people, when you're older, you have a much bigger network, and that includes people far beyond the world of work. And so people should not be myopic when they think about the connections that they have. Really, I mean, like I know a friend who was recently out of work for, like 8 months, found a job through his kids' like baseball team, like his kids' baseball coach. It's like,
exactly.
That counts, right? Like you don't think it's not a work.
It counts for more than anything. I mean,
exactly.
How many articles have we read about like LinkedIn is the great space for companies to just be obligated to post something, right? Like, oh, our legal tells us we have to post this externally. And they post a job that doesn't exist. And all you're doing is irritating and the world is angry right now. It's a frustrating place right now. Yeah, and they're contributing to it because you have desperate people applying for jobs that don't exist. And that's so go to your network, because it's the same thing. Like, when's the last time you saw a chief marketing officer job listed on LinkedIn? Like, no, just nobody. You hear CMOs getting hired. They didn't get hired from posting a job, or even the recruiting business is dying. Talk about AI, right? Or taking it in house. Like the recruiting business used to be super huge. You'd call my 5 recruiters. I'd have, 5 interviews in 2 weeks, 2 job offers. That's how it works. They're not even getting the jobs now, right? They're not even getting them.
They're not. It's a wild world.
They're a cost. They're a cost again.
They're a cost center. Yeah. Anything that's a cost center, oh man, it's rough. It's rough out there in corporate. But I'm really excited about what you guys are doing at Geezer. I think it's sorely needed by everyone, whether they know it or not. They need the value of experience in their teams, in their brand campaigns. So if people want to learn more about Geezer Creative and you, Brent, where should I send them?
Go to geezercreative.com. I mean, follow at Geezer Creative on LinkedIn. You'll see we're always posting content. And reach out if we can help.
Thank you so much for being here. I've loved this conversation.
Great. I appreciate it.